Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Let's talk about Katsuhiro Otomo. He's a filmmaker and manga artist who directed such movies as World Apartment Horror, Mushishi, and the acclaimed Akira, a film based on his own manga series. He also served as a writer for such films as Metropolis and Ryujin Z. He was also responsible for loads of anime anthologies including Neo Tokyo and Memories, plus he was the mentor for the late Satoshi Kon. He's a respected and renowned icon of Japanese animation, with a large fan base. Hence why I'm nervous about reviewing today's title. Yeah, one person who gave a negative review to one of Otomo's films ended up with extreme backlash and even had someone make a Facebook page dedicated to how much they hated him for making a negative review about one of their favourite films. I'm not even kidding. In today's episode, Katsuhiro Otomo's Steamboy.
Steamboy is a Japanese animated science fiction action-adventure set in 19th century England. It follows a boy called Ray Steam, who has been handed a powerful item called a steam ball. Everyone wants to get their hand on the steam ball, including Ray's dad Eddie, who desires to use it to fuel a steam castle containing weapons and military machines, which is being run by the power-hungry O'Hara Foundation. With his granddad Lloyd's help, Ray must stop his father and make sure no one gets hold of the steam ball. Meanwhile, civil engineer Robert Stevenson has plotted a war against the Foundation, who is exhibiting the steam castle's weapons to Britain's enemies in a bid to sell their dangerous products. Now, before I start this review, I must remind viewers that this is an analysis of the English dub, not the original Japanese cut. I've only seen the English version of Steamboy, so I can't make any commentary on the Japanese version. Despite having pretty animation, a grand music score, and a few fairly good voice actors, I think this movie is severely flawed. You see, Steamboy wants to be a philosophical exercise on questions of war and science, but it doesn't seem to understand that film is a visual medium. So, most of the movie is made up of characters talking about the ethics of violence, power, and science. Film needs to show philosophy, not converse about it, or it just ends up being boring. Movies are for watching, not for listening to. If I wanted to hear someone talking about philosophy, then I may as well have grabbed an audiobook on the subject. It's really dull watching characters talk and talk and talk. If Steamboy wanted to philosophize using film, then it should have relied on visual storytelling. Many movies have done this before. Groundhog Day philosophized about the question of existence by showing a man living the same day again and again. Rashomon explored the philosophy of truth by showing a story from different people's perspectives. A Clockwork Orange looked at the philosophy of free will by showing a man who is being forced to change his values. I could go on forever, but my emphasis on the word showing would end up pissing you off after some time. My point being is that philosophical films are capable of embracing their visual medium, so Steamboy has no excuse. Making the film rely heavily on dialogue to get across its philosophical debate kind of dumbs down whatever meaning, message, or argument it wants to get across. The imagery loses its impact because the focus is on telling more than showing. It feels insulting to the audience because it implies that they are incapable of reading movies themselves.
I can only find one example of the film using visuals to philosophize. There's a shot of Robert Stevenson's machine being juxtaposed against an image of the Foundation's machine. This is basically saying that both sides of the war are just as bad as each other. However, this is one shot in an hour and 40-minute long film. If the movie is capable of doing this at least once, then why can't it do it consistently instead of boring us with talking, and talking.
Now, maybe there's other examples of the film using visuals to philosophize, ones that I didn't notice. However, this doesn't change things. The film still relies way too heavily on dialogue to get across its philosophy. The second problem is that the film doesn't provide us with much to care about. The city of London is in danger, but the movie doesn't give us any characters in London to worry about. So why should I be fussed if some strangers get their homes destroyed? I know that sounds harsh, but a film needs to give me a reason to care about what's at stake, or I have nothing to be engaged in. Yeah, there's a war going on, but I couldn't care less who was going to win. Neither side has a character I'm fond of or grown to like, plus both sides are just selfishly motivated by power, so it's like picking between a douche and a turd sandwich. Watching nameless soldiers die in a battle I don't care about isn't exactly thought-provoking or sad. Well, you say, what about the main characters? Shouldn't I care about them? Not really. The movie is so focused on overblown explosions, chaotic violence, and monologues about why war is wrong or why science is for good that we don't have time to get to know our characters. Sure, we learn about their beliefs, but I never ended up feeling attached to anyone in the story because I couldn't connect to what little had been developed. This is a really boring movie in my opinion. The film is made up of long-winded conversations, random shots of people turning valves or pulling levers, scenes of people I don't care about fighting each other, and a bratty little girl shouting at everyone she sees. I'll get to her in a minute. Ray Steam is focused, persistent, and tough. While I admire his passion for science, Ray isn't exactly an entertaining hero. He's too stern and mature. He has no sense of humour or charming qualities. Yes, he's brave and confident, but he's just not that fun to me. He's too serious. Dr. Eddie Steam is a madman hell-bent on proving that science equals power. In order to do this, he wants to use the Steam Castle for destruction and control, while his father Lloyd is a peaceful man who believes that science should be used to help people. So his motive is to stop his son. The problem is, Eddie and Lloyd are less than characters and more of a reflection of two opposing belief systems. This makes it hard to connect or care about either man because they're just mouthpieces for the film's philosophical debate, rather than organic and realistic people. Then there's Miss Scarlet, who is annoying, obnoxious, spoilt, and often very useless. Yeah, she helps a little during the finale, and at one point she does show distaste for the violence she sees. However, she spends 98% of the film screaming, demanding, shouting, whining, and abusing her cute little puppy. She's insanely stupid too. I mean, really dumb. She walks into the middle of a bloody battlefield like it's a stroll in the park. Giving her a sob story, or making her do whimsical things, doesn't redeem how vile and stupid she is. It just makes her come across as a passive-aggressive brat. Half the time, nobody even pays attention to her as she tries to get involved in the story, which proves what little purpose she has. I hate her. I know that's a strong word, but seriously, I hate her. She's like Willy from Temple of Doom turned up to 11. The strongest aspect of this film, in my opinion, has to be its animation. It's polished, refined, fluid, and very expressive. Each character reflects their required emotions, nothing is too over the top, plus there's no underacting or stilted movement. It's one of the most expensive Japanese animated films ever made, so no wonder it's all shiny. However, the film doesn't have many visuals to work with, so the animation's imagination seems limited. Yeah, the animation is really pretty, but watching people chatting and valves being turned isn't exactly consistent eye candy. Yeah, there's one or two striking images, but most of the movie isn't very magical or thrilling to observe visually. If you're going to use a high-budget animation, then you need to have a series of awesome imagery, or it just feels like a waste.
Otomo has been given 26 million yen, and he's using animation, an art form that has boundless possibilities. So why is he animating people arguing whether war is right or wrong as they prod steam-powered machines? It's boring! This is coming from the guy that came up with such imagery as this.
Help! Kaneda, help, please!
And this! So Otomo has no excuses. He is fully capable of coming up with imaginative and creative imagery. If your film is as riveting as watching grass grow, then giving it pretty expensive animation is not going to save it. It's still going to be boring.
Now, I saw this film in its English dub format. Most of the voice actors hail from England, which is perfect because of the movie's setting. There are some American and Canadian actors involved too, though. You may be questionable about the authenticity of each Western actor's attempt to sound English, but at least everyone's accent is consistent. No one randomly changes their accent throughout the film. Anna Paquin voices Ray. Paquin does a very good job. She's energetic, tenacious, and strong. Each of her deliveries sounds like a tough and hardy little boy.
I don't understand, Father. What exactly is the Steam Castle?
Don't you know? How stupid!
Stop calling me stupid! It's not stupid to ask questions. That's how you stop being stupid.
We will soon unleash the kinetic forces of the Steam Castle.
British actor Alfred Molina plays Eddie. Now, Molina is a fantastic actor. I loved his performances in Spider-Man 2, Chocolat, and Frida. He's an actor who is capable of displaying raw and sincere emotions. However, he sounds really tired and uninvested as Dr. Eddie Steam. He can change the volume of his voice, but not the emotions of his readings.
2 steam balls, it's not enough, Eddie.
From risk comes progress, Father. You're the one who told me that, aren't you? I'll be in the control room. Notify me when you reach the final stage.
Eddie, don't do this, it's a huge mistake!
The legendary Patrick Stewart voices Lloyd, and thankfully he's at his best here. Stewart's voice is bold, solid, and vigorous. He really helps us believe the sincerity of his character's beliefs.
You don't know anything, you fool!
Huh?
Just who are these enemies you would kill? Are they Prussian? Or French? English? Well...
That would depend on who attacks us. You can't tell until the war starts.
Listen to me, Ray. We invent enemies through our own arrogance and vanity. They come from our own dark souls. Our forefathers knew neither enemy nor ally, and so it must be with science. You are a man of science, Ray.
Uh-huh.
Experienced voice actress Kari Wahlgren voices Miss Scarlet. Wahlgren turns her character even more annoying by making her sound screechy and aggravating.
That is so very rude. They're horrid. Wait just a minute, you two.
The music score for this film, which was done by Hollywood composer Steve Jablonsky, is a powerful and ominous series of grand compositions. Many of the tracks have a motivating, marching rhythm that sounds epic in scale. There's also some soft and heartfelt tracks that are laced with honest sentiment. In addition, there's many uplifting pieces that sound encouraging and lively. They seem to reflect the theme of science by sounding progressively upbeat and incentive. There's a track called Ray's Theme, which starts off as enchanting and magical, then builds into a bold and hardy piece. It sounds like a gradual advancement of a breakthrough invention. Jablonsky's score is very inventive and full of solid compositions. It's a great effort full of personality and worth listening to on its own.
To conclude, Steamboy may have pretty animation, a few good voice actors, and a grand music score, but its characters are either underwritten, boring, or annoying, it doesn't embrace its visual medium, there's nothing at stake to care about, and it feels way too long considering what little it has to offer. Also, the fun of the action scenes wears off as the film drags on and focuses more on dialogue-driven philosophical debates. Overall, it's a dull movie with only a few qualities that wastes its big-budget animation. I'm going to give it 2 strawberries out of 5. Now, if there's some of you out there still wondering if this film is your cup of tea, then consider this. If you enjoyed Otomo's segment for memories, then you may get a little something out of Steamboy because it has steampunk elements. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you've enjoyed my review. Please subscribe to my channel and I encourage you to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Also, I'm going to be hosting some panels at the anime convention Alcon in Leicester this September, so if you'd like to come see me, head to the Alcon website now to register. In the next episode, I'm going to review Astro Boy. I don't think so, Mr. Jambareeqi! Satan!
Yes, it's me, Satan, and I think you've forgotten about our little deal. You ain't doing Astro Boy next. No way. I'm deciding your next review. You owe me. And if you try to break out of our contract, I'm just gonna have to cut your balls off, you little shit-stained nerd.
What do you want me to review?
What I want you to review? Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno? What? I've not even got that film on DVD, so how can I review it? I'm going to review... What? Where did Astro Boy go? Huh. In the next episode, folks, Dante's Inferno, as requested by Satan himself.